Hello, everybody. It's me, live action. Whoa, crazy. Russian Batman again. I know, this ain't the best background, but I got like I don't know, you see, it's like a teddy bear hat. This Thor's hammer. All my Lego stuff's over there, and then my clothes. I got my clothes. So yeah. But this new shirt. It's a quote from Hamlet. It's pretty good. It says no. That's it. But let's talk about what I see. I saw something. I saw a movie across the Spider-Verse. I saw it, and I wanted to give my thoughts on it. So let's just get straight into it. First of all, into the Across the Spider-Verse. If you don't know, it's a sequel to Into the Spider-Verse. And yeah, so in preparation for this movie, I actually did rewatch Into the Spider-Verse, just to kind of remind myself what happened in the first one. And yeah, so I could get ready for the second one, which is pretty cool. Just one thing, I won't get into spoilers at first. I'll get into spoilers a little bit later, but I'll give you a spoiler warning before I do that. So let's get into non-spoilers. First of all, what I think of the movie. Overall, pretty positive. However, I do have some gripes, right? So first of all, the length. This movie is a very long movie, and you do feel it at times, right? It does kind of like, I don't know how to describe it. It's just it's the longest animated movie I think of all time, longest Hollywood anime movie of all time, and you definitely do kind of feel that. So, some people like that. I am personally not a huge fan of really long movies unless they kind of, I don't earn it, if that makes sense, right? Where I feel like long movies are really only good if a lot actually happens, if that makes sense. And in this movie, if I'm being completely honest, not a ton actually happens. There's a lot of good stuff there. For once, there's a lot, like, if you're excited for cameos, there's gonna be a good amount of them. And stuff. The movie is still very funny. It keeps that same sense of humor. The emotion is, the emotional scenes are really good. And overall, like, it's a solid film. However, it's not a complete film, if that makes sense, right? I know I sound like I'm being negative, but if you don't know, it is a part one, and this is not a spoiler. It's in the name of the. It's actually called Across the Spider-Verse Part One, and it does end on a cliffhanger. And also, this movie does not have any end credit scenes, which I was very surprised by, but it doesn't. It is a part one, and it definitely feels like a part one. Just it ends, and it kind of like when the movie ended. Like I said, I'm not like trying to spoil anything, but when the movie ended, everyone in the theater is like, "What? That's the end? Oh my god, it's just started," sort of thing. So it feels like a lot like Dune, if that makes sense, the new Dune movie, where it ends and you're like, well, it didn't finish, right? And it does that because it's a part one. And if you like that sort of format, that's good. I am personally I'm kind of realizing I'm not a huge fan of that kind of style of making sequels in films, right? Where a film intentionally decides to end when it's not when like the story's not over, and then pick it up in the second film, right? I know, I get how how a lot of films do it and how some films do it. I'm realizing I'm not a huge fan of it, especially when especially when the sequel's not already out, because now I'm like, well, the story's just not complete for me. So yeah, but overall, really good. And yeah, it gets my stamp of approval. Would I watch it again? I think I am gonna watch it again because a friend invited me to. But if I had a choice, if I'm being honest, I kind of wouldn't. Although I did really like it. I thought it was really good. Like I said, I think it just has a little bit of pacing issues, and maybe I was just tired today, so I was a bit tired sitting through it, but yeah, but overall it is really good. I do recommend you watch it, if you do want to know what happens, and the story does seem really cool. So yeah, it's just a little bit long for my taste, that's all. And then the pacing's a bit off. Like, it takes a while for the plot to get going. The first like 20 minutes, not a lot's happening, and then when it gets going, it still doesn't fully get going, if that makes sense. It gets going, and it kind of goes a little bit, but then it ends. If it's not super abrupt like Dune was, like, you can tell when it's gonna end. You can tell, like, okay, they're setting up for like the sequel, and whatnot, right? But yeah, that's my only minor gripe. But let's get on. I'm gonna get into spoilers. So if you don't want spoilers, spoiler warning. Go watch the movie and come back. And 3, 2, 1. Oh yeah, there's a Lego world for like 2 seconds. They said, I think they spoiled this in an interview once, but yeah, that's a thing. I did notice the animation in that scene wasn't very good. I mean, it did definitely seem a lot like a fan film, if I'm being honest. But that's, that was like a cameo. So, yeah, the film. So, like I said, the plot is kind of not all over the place. It's just it doesn't feel like it feels the movie definitely feels very grand. And let me just get to some plot beats and some stuff I liked. You know, I didn't know if I was gonna like Hobie, the rock guy. But I actually ended up really liking Hobie. I think he was kind of fun. He's very British, British rebellion type guy. But yeah, also all the cameos were cool. Donald Glover as the Prowler. So is that MCU Prowler confirmed? I don't know. It was pretty cool though. And then like there's a Venom reference. There's a lot of like cameo references. The entire time my theater was like pointing everywhere. Like Spectacular Spider-Man shows up. None of these cameos are major characters, reckon, so all the cameos aren't really super plot relevant. And then what was another good? There's something else I was thinking of. There was like they had references to even the live action Spider-Mans and quite a few actually live action parts to it, right? And something I would like to say, I forgot to mention this. But with how, so the visually this movie is really creative, right? And it's even more kind of visually, I would say, artistic than the first film. However, it can be a little bit distracting. Like I noticed with Hobie, like his guitar had like an outline around it and it looked cool. It did distract a little bit. And there are a few things that are a little, like, it could be interpreted as just a lot of visual noise. Also, I like to focus on Gwen in this movie. Gwen, because the movie actually starts off with Gwen. And then also, I just want to mention, I think the Vulture, the Vulture in this movie that you see, he sounds a lot like Waluigi. Whoever plays the Vulture, get him on the Mario movie sequel to play Waluigi, because it did sound a lot like Waluigi. So I approve. One thumbs up for Vulture, and it's a cool Vulture design. I honestly did wish we could explore more worlds. It kind of has the same kind of thing that Multiverse of Madness had, where it only explores a few. Right? It does explore more than Multiverse of Madness. You get to see, obviously, Miles' world. Also, I know I'm going all over the place. I really appreciate all of the 42s. You see a lot of 42s. And it turns out that's where, like, Miles Morales' spider comes from World 42. It's 42, guys. It's me. I'm the Spider-Man. The spider was supposed to bit me. And look at my world. I live in Detroit. And this is thumbnail post. Look. Is that a good thumbnail post? I'm going to use that for the thumbnail. I'm going to screenshot that. That's a thumbnail. But, yeah, so you do get to see that. And that's cool. And then also, Miles Morales, in the end, he's the Prowler in my universe. That's crazy. But yeah, it was interesting movie. I do think, like I said, I kind of would prefer it if it chopped off some of the beginning, like in Miles's world, talking about his grades and stuff, talking about what school he wants to go to. I get it's all like character stuff. But at the end of the day, does it really matter? Like, really? Do I care what school Miles Morales goes to? Like, I watched this film for, like, Spider-Man doing Spider-Man things, and then I spend the first, 30 minutes deciding on which school Miles Morales wants to go to, and then his mom is mad that people don't speak Spanish. I know it sounds like I'm complaining a lot about this movie, and I do have some genuine gripes, but overall, pretty good movie. Visually really interesting, although it can be visually very noisy at times. And also Spider-Man India, pretty cool. I liked him. I didn't know if I was gonna like him or not. But yeah, also I didn't know that naan meant bread. That's good to know. Uh, you know what I don't get? Like the trend of just naming foods what like the type of food they are, but using a different language. You know, like salsa, describes like Mexican sauce, but salsa just means sauce, Same with like carne asada. When you say carne asada, you're thinking of, oh, the way they season the very specific, Mexican style meat. It's carne asada. When carne asada literally just means seasoned meat, So, um or sorry for the edit. Towards the end of that video, for whatever reason, I started rambling and rambling about nonsense. So just wanted to kind of keep it coherent. I got a different shirt. I actually just got back from seeing the movie a second time. So yes, I did, and also just second time around, it wasn't as kind of long as I thought it was the first time. I think the first time I was just a little bit tired. It's still pretty long movie, but it didn't feel as long the second time. If that makes sense. But yeah, I really enjoyed it the second time. But there is something that I would like to bring up that I was a little bit confused on. So in the movie, right? Towards when Miles Morales kind of finds he meets all the spider people and whatnot, right? He's in the main crew, talking to Miguel, right? And then when he's talking to him, he mentions that, oh, he saved the captain of Indian Spider-Man's universe, and that was a canon event. And he was like, well, he said something along the lines of, captains have to die, or, there's always captains that die, in universes. And when he said that, I thought that was like kind of like a metaphor, meaning like someone important has to die in your universe, right? Whether it be Uncle Ben or, your uncle, whatever, right? Someone important has to die. That's what I thought they meant, right? At the time when I watched that first, but then afterwards, Miles Morales is like, well, my dad's gonna become captain, and it's like, is my dad gonna die? And they're like, yes. So, are they saying that like if you're Spider-Man and if someone you're close to becomes captain, that automatically means they die, just because they're becoming captain? Because even like Spider-Gwen, when she goes back to her father, and her father's like, I'm no longer captain, she gets like kind of all relieved. It's like, oh, thank God, because that would have meant you died. And was that supposed to be literal? Like, if like captains always die, that was like a literal. I thought that was like a metaphor, but everyone kind of took it literally. And if that is the case, like if someone becomes a captain, they have to die. That seems a little bit arbitrary. I'm being honest, right? Maybe it's a Spider-Man trope for captains to die, but I don't know why. Like, just becoming, not just being a police officer, being someone important in Spider-Man's life. No, you have to be a captain to die, or maybe it's a captain or an uncle. I honestly don't, because like Uncle Ben isn't a captain. I honestly don't get it. Because like, did a captain die in like Peter B. Parker's world? Captain Stacy died. I honestly don't know, so that's why I just bring that up. But yeah, that's something I was a little bit confused on. So, yeah, but overall, I did actually really enjoy the film the second time. And yeah, I would like to say, y'all have a nice rest of the day. Go watch the 2011 film Rango and have a nice one. Yeah, I'm not gonna ramble on about nonsense like I did in the first like take of this video, but yeah.